Always, reviews and comments are welcome on the show. Look for us on social media at Joy News on TV, on Facebook, at Joy News on TV, also on Twitter. You can send us a tweet with the hashtag The Pulse. We'll be glad to share your thoughts with the rest of the world. Now, the controversial preacher Bishop Daniel Obinim, he's now been granted bail following his arrest some 2 days ago. You recall how he's been accused of flogging 2 teens of his church and fraudulently receiving or allegedly receiving 11.6 million Ghana cedis from another follower. It has been days, and today he's been speaking about gaining his freedom. In fact, he took time after he was granted bail today on his channel to mention a number of things that he saw in the course of his stay behind bars, be it at the Nima police station or being interrogated by the Criminal Investigations Department of the Ghana Police Service. Already, there was a lot of controversy. Questions were raised about how this whole matter started. First, he turned himself in at the Tema Police Command to the charge of the assault for which he was invited. He went in to answer these questions with his lawyer. It turned into his arrest there and then as the police CID officials came in and said there was another matter which had their attention, which involved him, Bishop Daniel Obinim, for which reason they had to come and assist, well, he had to come and join them, assist in investigations for that job to be conducted. And since then, it has been a number of transfers from one point to another, from the CID headquarters to the Nima police station and back. Today, he has taken time to explain or tell us his own version of what happened to him during this period. We saw people massing up at the police CID headquarters, raising their own concerns and their questions, demanding that their spiritual leader be allowed access to his family and to his followers. In fact, to be granted bail immediately and be released. Well, today, after all the brouhaha, the controversy, almost 48 hours of a media blitz, today he's out. But the tale has not ended yet. Joining me in the studio is Komla Adom. He's been following the story from day one up until this minute now that he has been granted bail. He joins me in the studio now for some more details. Good afternoon to you, Komla.
Good afternoon.
Right, so we've seen a lot of things happen today. He was expected to appear before the Accra High Court. That did not happen. You didn't see him there, did you?
I didn't see him. He didn't appear at the Accra Circuit Court.
Court, okay.
I spoke to the registrar at the court who mentioned to me that the police had come to register the case this morning in court, and so they were expecting an appearance from Bishop Daniel Obinim in court, but for some reason he did not turn up in court. Okay, now as he didn't turn up, you were there, you were closely monitoring developments. Were there supporters who were also, congregated at that point at the court waiting to see him? Today, there was no sight of any of his congregants or sympathizers because the heavy police presence at the court premises scared them, I'm sure, because we all know that yesterday and then the day before, congregants were massing up at the CID headquarters as well as the Nima police station just to solidarize with their founder and leader. And so the police anticipated a similar reaction, and so they were there in their numbers. I could count as many as 15 to 20 policemen who were there just to give security to the premises of the court until they were dispersed. Okay. Now, on the case of him being granted bail, do we know how he actually got this bail application granted? Unfortunately, we do not have that information. His lawyer has not been speaking to us, but we'll try. We are still making effort to speak to his lawyer, Atachian, to give us more information as to the bail conditions and all the terms and everything that led to his bail this morning. Okay, now we can see the police there at the courtyard addressing some individuals. What was that about? Okay, so that was ACP Adodankwa. She was in charge of a police team that was dispatched to the premises to provide security. So she mentioned to us that she had information from her superiors to disperse and dismiss the men who she had brought there to provide security, but she couldn't confirm whether it was in relation with a bail that had been granted to Bishop Obinim or not. Okay. So as we could see on our screen, she had just dispersed the police officials to go back to their offices and continue their work, but then she admitted and also added that with a police service in an event such as this, within the next few seconds, they could just quickly mass up again and then come and do their work. But for now, they had just dispersed them to go back to their offices to continue with their activity.
Let's hear from her addressing her men after they were dispatched to the courts today.
Instructions. We had instructions to be here, and we've had instructions to disperse the men, and that is exactly what I've done. So their presence here is no longer required. So that's why I've asked them to disperse.
Can you confirm whether he's been granted bail?
I can't confirm. My directives were very simple: disperse the men, and that is exactly what I've done.
And what does it mean to the case in itself?
I don't have any briefing on that. I had specific instruction to come and provide security. We've done that. I've been asked to disperse them, and I've done that. All other things, I cannot comment.
Thank you.
Mami,
Right, that's the police officer who was in charge of that unit stationed at the courts today, as they were dispatched there to ensure that law and order prevails, even as Bishop Obinim was expected to appear for his bail application, as the CID were preparing him to appear. But we are learning that something else happened. In fact, this application was done in some ways that we do not know of. But we'll try and get you some details and speak to the lawyer on what transpired. But you, before you head into the courts today, Komla, you monitored some of the developments still in relation to this case. What did you find?
I found out that last night he was taken back to the Nima police station, where he still spent the night. That was what we were picking up, and so it was very clear that today he was going to be taken to court or brought to court by the police to commence, some action. But then while we were all at court, we were taken by surprise with the no-show, and that's how come we are learning later on that he had been granted bail.
Okay, all right. So thank you, Komladum, for these details. Clearly, a lot has happened, and as I mentioned, he has been busy today. The preacher, the head pastor of the International God's Week Church, I'm talking about Bishop Daniel Obinim, he has been mobbed throughout the period since his release from his car, from the police station, up until the moment he arrived at his home, where hundreds of his supporters, or let me say church members, had thronged the home of this man, Bishop Obinim, waiting to hear him speak about what had transpired in the last 48 hours to their spiritual leader. A lot of things we heard him say on OBTV today, his channel, which is a satellite channel. We'll bring you some of the things he had to say for himself today in relation to his arrest and subsequent bail that was granted to him today. We'll come back to the story and bring you a bit more. He has been addressing his followers today live on television. We'll bring you that in just a moment. You're still watching The Pulse on the Joy News channel on Malta TV. We'll come back to the story, but while we wait and bring you what he has been telling his supporters today, or let me say his church followers today, let's look at education for just a moment, because the University Teachers Association of Ghana, UTAG, has called on the management of public universities to, as a matter of fact, cut down on intake of fresh students for the 2016-2017 academic year. The association says the call has become necessary because of government's failure to lift the ban on the recruitment of lecturers into public universities, which is directly affecting teaching.